the IRS releasing its plan for spending $80 billion in new funding, and it could mean a big crackdown on wealthy people and corporations. Robert Frank joins us now with more. I hope they find more than $80 billion, or I just would have kept the $80 billion.
Yes, they hope so too, Joe. And high earners, high-income taxpayers, they should get ready for a lot more audits. The IRS hiring over 7,000 new enforcement agents over the next 2 years as part of that $80 billion funding plan. Their goal is to narrow what's known as the tax gap. That's the more than $500 billion of taxes owed that go uncollected every year. Now, one of their chief targets will be partnerships. The IRS saying the number of partnerships has soared by more than a third over the past decade to over 4 million. Partnerships over $5 million have increased by 75% over that period. Wealthy taxpayers increasingly use complex partnerships and layers of LLCs and pass-throughs to minimize their taxes. The IRS also saying it's going to increase the audit rate for high earners overall. Audits for those earning more than $1 million or more have fallen by 90% over the past decade to less than 0.1%. The IRS also plans to develop what it calls advanced data analytics to better identify and target returns. And they plan to go after crypto, digital assets, and other what they call novel emerging issues. Now, the IRS saying audit rates will not change for those making less than $400,000 a year. The CBO estimating it's going to raise, all of this will raise an additional $180 billion through 2031. Joe?
So, Robert, W-2 earners, so what I don't understand is there's if you're a W-2 earner, even if you do well, I've got a friend who does pretty well, but he's a W-2 earner, there's nothing to mess around with. You do, it's like, here's the amount, here's what you owe, here's what you pay. There's no deductions anymore, are there, after the Trump tax law? So
their charity, Joe, that friend of yours doesn't give any money to charity?
Yes. Yeah, but that's capped too.
That's a deduction.
Isn't that capped too?
No, nope, that's not capped.
So if you claimed that you gave, 10 times more than you do, they could find that. Well, if you don't. Yes, as
a share of your income. As a share of your income,
it's mostly people that probably do LLC. Where is the real gold mine for the audits? Where would they be able to find things where people can make $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 differences in their taxes?
You're absolutely right about W-2 income is not the focus here because there's nothing to see that's not already shown to the IRS. The IRS gets the form, right. You paid those taxes.
Take your best shot.
So the gold mine is these partnerships, and they have just exploded in size and number over the past 10 years. It's almost like it's become its own shadow tax system where, if you have a private business and then interlocking layers of LLCs and pass-throughs, and you get your real estate depreciation, you get your business deductions, you get all kinds of capital loss carry forwards, and there are all kinds of things that you can play with as a pass-through that you can't with W-2. And so there's a suspicion that this huge explosion in pass-throughs, both in terms of the income that they're generating as well as the number, is where there could be a lot of unpaid taxes.
Hey, Robert, we keep talking about AI and ChatGPT, and, it's fascinating to see how AI can analyze effectively. You give it, a ton of data, and it is able to actually, to some degree, analyze what is happening. Where is the IRS with AI technology, with actual numbers and databases? Because it seems to me that if they actually had the technology to do it, I would imagine AI very quickly would be able to flag and identify things that don't look right, if not be able to do more than that.
Yeah, it's a terrific point, Andrew, and it's one that the IRS has been thinking about. The new commissioner could simply ask ChatGPT who's not paying their taxes. Maybe there might be an answer. But as part of this plan, there's a huge focus on data analytics and new algorithms that could maybe not tell them who's not paying their taxes or how much, but at least sort of identify the types of returns based on previous audits and current findings that might be red flags that they weren't noticing before. Now, right now, the red flags they look for are sort of, excessively large business deductions, things like hobby deductions. If they really drill down,
What's a hobby
again, they're going to
deduction?
spend a lot on. Well, that's what people do with their race horses. They can deduct a large part of that. There's a whole category of taxes that
I'm
they're
in
not
the wrong
supposed to
league
deduct,
here. I got to
but
work
they
on
can.
that. I don't have a hobby
Yeah.
deduction.
Maybe your hobby
But
can be
yeah.
a dog, though.
Really?
I don't know.
But-
a
but-
horse can be a dog.
No, I claim my dogs as dependents. Is that I have 4 of them? Have I got an issue? They are. They might as well be with how much Chewy and all that stuff costs. I don't know, Robert.
But Andrew, to your point, Andrew, technology and improved data analytics is going to be a huge component as an overlay to these audits to better identify,
But
what types of
they're announcing
returns
this
could be
now.
avoided.
How many years are they away from actually being able to pull this off in an effective way? And when you start to layer in technology, when can that even come to be? And I say that, by the way, because I know there are people who are watching this broadcast saying, well, you know what? I think that was it a 5-7 year period? What's the look back period? There are people who are counting the days, I'm sure.
It's typically at least 3 years. And you're right, this is going to take a long time. We all know the government sector, the IRS in particular, is way behind on technology. And that was a big reason for a lot of this funding increase.
All right, Robert Frank, thanks for bringing us that. Yeah, I don't know who's out there sweating at this point. I think you named some of the issues.
Well, like